In a small town in America, in the early 1890s, people began to notice a strange smell in the air near a building. Nobody knew what was the smell and where did it come from exactly, but a lot of people complained about it. The thing is that building was a bank, and it had closed down some years prior, and the building was mostly left empty. Though, as the smell persisted and even worsened over time, still nobody investigated the source of the smell. And as the years passed, the city just got more and more complaints, so they finally looked after the issue, and what they found shocked everyone. In the late 1890s, several years after the smell first became noticeable, the city had to make a decision. We have to do something. The smell is so fucking bad that people literally faint when they walk past the building. Maybe we could blow it up? The fuck is wrong with you, fam? Or maybe we could renovate it. Useful for the city and useful for people. So a team of maintenance workers arrived to renovate the building. As they walked through the ruined rooms, they finally came to the chimney, which no one had bothered to check for years.
Very big.
Very?
Very big.
And while looking around, one of the workers noticed something strange in the chimney. But this chimney wasn't a typical home fireplace, it was an old-fashioned industrial chimney. It was narrow, dark, and hadn't been used in decades. As the worker peered into the chimney, they saw what looked like bones. A lot of them. And not just any bones. They looked human bones. And how did they know that? I don't know. Anyway, the body was partially decomposed and had obviously been there for a very long time. The clothing and skeletal remains seem to indicate that the person had probably been trapped in the chimney for several years, so they called the police immediately. Hey, we just found some bones. Could you come here please as fast as possible? Bones? You mean human bones? Could you fucking stop for a minute? But who was this person, and how did he get there? And that's when an investigation was launched to find the answers. The investigators took the remains to a forensic lab where they eventually managed to identify the body as a local man who had disappeared years earlier. His name was Joseph. Not the investigator's name, I mean the missing person's name. Actually, he was not missing anymore because Joseph had vanished without a trace in the early 1980s, leaving his family puzzled and heartbroken. They would reported him missing, but as the years went by with no leads, the case went cold and his family assumed that he had either left the area or had an accident. But who was Joseph at all? He was a young man who spent most of his life in the city. People knew him as a little beggar who sometimes got into trouble. He had a few minor run-ins with the law, mainly for theft, and it was not unusual for him to disappear for days at a time. But this time he disappeared completely. No phone calls, no letters, nothing. But something was not clear. How even could Joseph end up in the chimney? Investigators believe that Joseph, who was known for sneaking around and stealing things, may have been trying to rob the old bank. Perhaps he thought that slipping down the chimney would be an easy way to avoid any security or to surprise anyone inside. I mean, I would be really fucking surprised if someone would slip through the chimney and stand behind me. And I am like, who the fuck are you? And he said, yeah, I'm Santa Claus. And who the fuck are you? Fuck you. Anyway, it seemed that he had underestimated the narrowness of the chimney or overestimated his ability to maneuver through it. He may have been trying to go down the chimney, but at some point he got stuck and couldn't move up or down. And as terrifying as it sounds, but it is believed that Joseph died slowly from starvation or possibly dehydration and was unable to call for help. The walls of the chimney would have silenced the cries even if he had managed to shout. His final days were like spent struggling in the dark, trapped and helpless. But why it took years for anyone to find him? Well, it turns out that the bank had already been shut down for some time when Joseph went missing, and as the bank's operations halted, the building was left mostly untouched for years. There were no staff members to report any odd sounds or smells, and any signs of his presence would have gone unnoticed. To this day, certain aspects of the story remain a mystery. Was Joseph truly attempting to rob the bank, or was there another reason he was in the chimney? Some even speculate about the possibility of foul play.